3-0, baby. This is it. This is day 30 of 30. And I saved one of my favorites for last. And this is a very recent topic. What I've learned through my data is that my more recent game topics don't tend to do very well unless they're like about Nintendo. So I'm kind of throwing a Hail Mary here. I'm hoping that this one lands in the right parts of the algorithm because I'd love to get people's opinions on this. But I think it's been long enough for us to say that the extraction shooter genre doesn't work. It just does not. I've played them, I've tried them, and I think that they're bad games. And if you're an extraction shooter fan, you're probably not, because let's be honest, there's not very many. But if you are an extraction shooter fan, I'm going to change your mind. Okay? And I'm going to use Marathon specifically as my example. Because Marathon was my last hope for this genre. I started exploring the genre because of Marathon, because when it was announced, I thought it was a pretty cool idea and I was willing to try it. And as I experimented more and more, and as I played Marathon, especially more and more, I realized, okay, this is just never going to work. It's just not. And there are some obvious reasons and there are some less obvious reasons. I think the first obvious reason is it's niche because it is just so hardcore, dude. It is painfully hardcore. How hardcore can you make a game before you turn off a large audience? Now, naturally, there can be niche audiences. I think niche games can exist, and I think I agree with the statement, a game made for everybody is a game made for nobody. Looking at things like Call of Duty, which is a game that tries to appeal to as many people as possible. That's a problem. It's resulted in Call of Duty being what it is now, which is to say it sucks. It sucks really bad. But man, there is a way to go the other direction too far where there's just not very many people who are going to enjoy that genre. So you don't really get an injection of new players because the punishment for dying, especially in a high stakes game, especially in a game with high time to kill, is not fun. And it's different. It's different when it's a roguelike. When it's something like Binding of Isaac or Hades or Balatro, there's a lot of skills you can build on over time that make those runs feel like you're learning. When it comes to first-person shooters, there's so much variance, especially in low time-to-kill games like Tarkov, like Hunt Showdown, and like Marathon, where there's just times where you die. You just die, and there's nothing you can do about it, and there really wasn't a way to outplay that situation. You just got capped from a sniper from however many yards away, or you had bad teammates, or whatever else. You can sit here and say, well, you really have no one to blame but yourself, but there is a high amount of variance in the extraction and battle royale genres. It's part of why battle royale got so popular, because of the amount of variance, because you never knew what was going to happen. That's part of why Fortnite blew up, because it was so wide-ranging that variety was the spice of life. That does not work with extraction shooters because the punishment is so high that it makes you not really appreciate bringing in higher level gear, because the gear really does matter here. And this comes into my next point, because it is so high risk, the reward does not match. Specifically because I don't want to use my high gear. And you're going to say, oh, well, you got to put aside gear fear, use the gear. No, because I don't think it makes a meaningful difference. Okay, I think good gear is good, yes, but the problem really comes from the fact that I don't want to use it because I'm not allowed to practice the game. Because a lot of these games don't have modes that allow you to just play the game. Because ultimately the extraction mode, the extraction genre, you're incentivized to make as little noise as possible, to engage as little as possible, and to get out of there without as many engagements, because that's the higher reward playstyle. So when I started playing Marathon and I was really struggling to extract, a lot of the advice that people would give was, well, just don't engage with the bots, don't engage with the players, run away from firefights, stay as quiet as possible. And so I did that, and that did work a little bit. I did get to extract more. But then I was also bored because I wasn't shooting my gun in my first-person shooter. Because ultimately, in order to make gear matter in a meaningful way, to make it to where you can get it, to be that reward that we need for the risk to make sense, you have to play in such a low-risk way that is so unfun and so counterintuitive to what a first-person shooter is, it ends up just being boring and stupid. And there's no better way to prove this than the PvE mode that Marathon tried to add with Nightmarch. That was where I quit. That was where I realized it just didn't work. So it's just so boring. Because, again, the AI is tuned to kill you. They are tuned to be very, very strong. So I was like, okay, we're not really engaging with anybody, and I tried to get my friends to play it, so I've been trying to get them to play Marathon forever, so the free week was like the best opportunity. So we played Night March, and I was like, I'm sorry guys, this is boring. Especially too because we weren't finding very good loot. And there were some good ways to find loot, those got patched out, but they didn't patch them until other people had already gotten them, and then they slowed down gear progression, like just a bunch of stupid Bungie stuff. Genuinely, I will never understand how Bungie is still open, because I've seen them consistently make the worst decisions over the last 10 years. It's impressive. It's genuinely impressive. But a lot of times I find myself wishing to just play some kind of arena mode just so I can at least get to grips with the gameplay. Like, I think Marathon, it's fun to have firefights, but I don't want to have firefights because it's so hard to get gear, and now because the risk is so high, even without gear fear being a thing, I'm still nervous. So some kind of arena mode would be really nice, because then I would feel really good about my gunplay and I would feel really confident. Even Tarkov figured this out. So why are we not why are we not doing this? It's counterintuitive. The entire gameplay loop is counterintuitive to an actual fun experience. I'll give Call of Duty credit to this. If I want to play team deathmatch, I can play team deathmatch. And then I can make myself feel just a little bit better, and I can get a little more to grips with the movement and the mechanics before I go into search and destroy. I can't do that with Marathon. I can't do that with Hunt Showdown. Hunt Showdown does have the like more generic battle royale mode, but that's not the same thing. And my last point is just that I don't really see a world where PvE and PvP can consistently mix these days. I think 10 years ago you could make that argument, but nowadays, with the way that PvP is so centered around content creation and streamers and playing as much as possible, and you have people who play for 8 to 12 hours a day consistently, and everything gets so efficiently spelled out so fast, PvP is a very different world than PvE is now. And another thing you have to consider is that player bases are aging. I'm old. I'm considered old because now I'm in a different demographic because I'm 31. I'm no longer in that 18 to 30 demographic. Now I'm in the 31 to 45 demographic. Great. But nowadays, people who want to play PvP want to play PvP, and they want to go hard, and they want to get sweaty, and they want to compete. And there's nothing wrong with that, and I like that a lot. I wish I still had that drive, and sometimes I think I might still have it. I might still be able to get it back. But PvE players, they don't want that. They don't want anything to do with that. PvE players want to be over here doing their own thing at their own pace because they're full-time employees. They have, the meme is like, I have 12 minutes a day to work because I have 8 kids and 5 jobs. But in reality, I have 1 job and a mortgage and 2 kids. So if I get an hour a day to play, I'm lucky. And that's not even factoring in the fact that content creation for this and also my big group channel, Check It Productions, linking our video down below, you're welcome, Bright. That takes time too. So like right now, yes, I could be practicing a game. I could be playing Marathon. I'm not going to play Marathon, but I could be playing Marathon right now, but I'm not because I need to make content, right? Like, because I need to work. So where am I going to find time to do this? This is the problem that plagues a lot of people. And I don't think that the PvE and PvP side of the player bases have been ever farther apart than they are now. And so every time you try to mix it, I think it's just going to be disastrous, where the PvP players who want to stick through it, they rise to the top, and they basically make it a PvP game, while the PvE players go and find something else to play. And I do worry that that's going to happen with the Duskbloods. I don't fully know if that's what's going to happen, but I could see it going that way just because of how these things are structured these days. And I just don't know that it really works. And there's probably ways to balance it. There's probably ways to figure it out. And I don't know what they are. And just because I don't know what they are doesn't mean they don't exist. But I just have to wonder, in the age of streaming and efficiency and content, can PvE and PvP ever really cross-pollinate anymore? The answer currently to me seems to be no. With the exception of like good old invasion systems in Dark Souls, I don't think people really want that kind of cross-pollination anymore. I think it's difficult. This is before we even get into the cheating aspect of things, because every PvP game is just infested with cheaters, unless it's Valorant, because Valorant is kernel level and it's anti-cheat. So you're giving up your privacy for a game that doesn't have cheats. There's just not an anti-cheat out there that can resist these kinds of cheats anymore. So the whole thing is Fugazi, honestly. Is it Fugazi or is it Fubar? Should probably look that up. Oh, so Fubar. Sorry, I was channeling my inner Alpha Investments, Rudy. I don't know, man. I really don't know at this point. Other than to say, I think because these games are so counterintuitive, they chase players off and they can't really cross-pollinate, I think it's a bad genre. I do. I don't think it's going to ever find its footing. It's always going to be niche. And the best example I can really give you is Arc Raiders, because Arc Raiders is a game where people basically said, we don't want to deal with PvP. If you want to do PvP, you go to your PvP servers. But we're going to stay over here in PvE land. And there's issues with that, and Arc Raiders has had its issues, and it's losing players as well. But Arc Raiders had a big section of players who basically said, we don't want to do PvP. We're not interested in that. Like, that's not interesting to us. So I don't really know where the genre goes, but I don't think it goes anywhere because I think it's a bad genre. I don't think it's going to work, and I think developers need to stop putting their eggs in this basket. Just make a PvP game or make a PvE game. Don't make both. It doesn't work. Not anymore. Maybe it used to, but now it's just chaos, it's pain, it's torture, it's suffering, it's Fubar. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our 30 days of videos. Oh, call to action. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Extraction shooters, bad, good, eh? Okay, now that we've got that out of the way. 30 days, guys. I didn't think it would be this fast. I gotta be honest with you. I feel like I just started. I really genuinely feel like I just started this. But now I've made 30 videos and I've posted 30 videos for 30 days. And there were moments where I got squished and it was gonna be really difficult and there were issues with content uploading. And there were times where I was really thinking, maybe I just quit here. Because the thing about YouTube is it can be really discouraging. In fact, I would say it's often more discouraging than it is encouraging. But no, I don't know. Now I feel more encouraged than ever because I know that I do have a voice and people do want to hear my voice. And I have these 30 days of data points that I can really look through. And now I can start really crafting stronger videos and I can start adding more things to them and I can figure out which direction I need to go. And I don't think I would have been able to do that without this 30-day challenge. So thanks. That's all I have to say, really, is thanks. I still want to play Fallout New Vegas from yesterday's video. I talked myself into that one again, so I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that, but we'll try. I don't really have a lot else to say here. Halo Combat Evolved was bad. No, Campaign Evolved. Halo Studios sucks. Bye.